Quer desenvolver os talentos da sua equipe e potencializar os resultados da sua empresa? Conte com a expertise do atendimento corporativo do Senac São Paulo, que já capacitou mais de 1 milhão de pessoas e profissionais de instituições públicas, privadas e terceiro setor. Construa uma equipe altamente motivada e capacitada e destaque-se no mercado. Entre em contato, acesse sp.senac.br/corporativo e saiba mais. Quer saber? Senac.
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about NVIDIA's pullback. We're introducing kind of a new segment to the show, and then I'm going to talk about social media strategy or a social media audit. Enjoy.
Were you calling to me from outside of a dream? I wanna live, I wanna love you a little longer. I was invincible many years ago when I was so much stronger. I wanna smile like a letter from an old friend. My arms are wide as oceans. How I missed you and feeling good to be alive.
Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. I am the founder and CEO of Q Consolidated Limited. We focus on investing and creating businesses in media and entertainment, finance, investing and insurance, education and e-learning, music, art and the humanities, earth and human sustainability and advancement, and earth and space exploration and transportation. Our current businesses include 32 Warrior Academy, Q Financial, Age of Radio, and Merlin, to name a few. You can find me on all socials at Age of Jeremy, except on X, it's at Age of Jeremy Q, and on Facebook, it's Cesar Jeremy Quintanilla. There are links in the episode description, and one of the places I'm going to encourage you to reach out to me, because we're going to be talking about it a little bit later tonight, or in this episode. I don't know why I said tonight. Maybe it's because I'm recording this tonight. We're going to be talking about Threads a little bit. So I've been spending a lot more time on Threads, so make sure that you follow me on Threads. It's, of course, as you guessed it, at Age of Jeremy. If you're new to this podcast, it's all about the trials and tribulations that I go through to build my business empire, and I hope you pick up some wisdom along the way. I also have guests that share their trials and tribulations becoming content creators and the adventures that they have gone through to become entrepreneurs. We also occasionally have what I like to call a lo-fi episode, which is all of the cultural stuff that I'm going through, or maybe some ramblings that I have going on that I want to share with you that you might be able to find some little gold nuggets in, I guess, for lack of a better, or some, I don't know, some gold inside of there somewhere. We also started adding our Age of Radio podcast catalog to YouTube, so you can check out most of our active podcasts on the Age of Radio YouTube at Age of Radioverse. The other thing that we have going on this week, if you have an X-Royalty NFT from 32 Warrior Academy, which is one of the businesses that I own, we have an NFT called X-Royalty. If you have X-Royalty, just remember that this Friday, we have our virtual conference all day. Every year, we have an annual virtual conference for all of our X-Royalty ticket holders. Just having an NFT will get you an access into this virtual conference. I will be talking about meditation and mindfulness, so I hope to see you guys there, or I hope you guys check it out. It will be a lot of fun. That also being said, if you have not signed up for our Age of Radio newsletter, head on over to ageofradio.com, sign up to the newsletter. I mention this because we are really ramping up and revamping our website. The updates to the Age of Radio website are not up yet. It's really important, if you are an entrepreneur, that you are monitoring your brand on a regular basis and making any updates that are needed. And that's really what we're doing right now with Age of Radio. So I brought in a media team, or I guess a website development team that helps us with our other businesses. And they are helping me brand a lot of the Age of Radio. You can start to see some of it in some of our other branding on, say, Instagram. And we're going to work to push this across all of the Age of Radio social media and customer communication pieces, so it all seems cohesive. And so I encourage you to be a part of our newsletter so you can learn about new podcasts that are coming out, new deals that we have with our affiliate partners as we add more and more on. Right now, we're working on becoming an affiliate partner with Audible again to really start pushing that. Not to digress too much from it, but not to digress too much from the intro, but one of the biggest problems that I had when we were dealing with the affiliates last time is, I'll be honest, I didn't really know what I was doing. And I went very, very wide on a lot of that stuff, getting affiliates and things that normally I don't care about, the other podcast hosts don't care about. It was just like a way to make money. And so as I think about the things that are in line with Age of Radio as a whole, or aligned with me and the things that I'm pushing out there, then those things make sense. And I obviously, because we are all about audio for a big part of our business and a big part of what we do, as you are listening to this as a podcast, that is just pushed out in audio format, is that the affiliate partnerships make a lot more sense, like Audible, rather than going really wide on just finding stuff that we can just advertise. So I've been spending a lot of time thinking about that, thinking about marketing, thinking about how we push those advertisements out to people, how we push our affiliate partners. And one of those places is going to be in that newsletter. And again, these are things that we think that you are going to like listening to some of the podcasts on Age of Radio. And if you don't like them, then you can definitely let us know, because we're going to be doing a lot more stuff with our audience, finding out what you guys enjoy learning about, listening to, whether you're just listening to the Age of Jeremy podcast as you're listening to right now, or you're going to listen to one of the other hundreds of podcasts that are on the Age of Radio network, like Coach JV's podcast, like Good Morning Crypto, like Mysterious Circumstances, Dark Windows, What Were They Thinking, Everything I Learned from Movies, and the list can go on and on. Home Video Hustle, One Evolving Voice, the love show, I think is what Joe's podcast is called. So there's all kinds of stuff out there. So just make sure that you, like, the more that you get involved with what we got going on, not only will it be an opportunity for you to learn about podcasting and learn about content creation, because of the things that we do for our audience, but then also too, if you're interested in, or to find out about content creation, I guess I should say. And the last thing that I'll say to this is go over to Facebook, join our Addicted to Podcasting Facebook group, be involved with the community, find out about great content that you may or may not love. And we would love to hear from you in that Facebook group. And from there, you can also access our Discord. We have our community manager, Trey, that's helping grow the Discord now. He's been doing polls. We have an event every month scheduled now called Anime Roundtable. It's where I learn about windbreakers. I've caught up on all the windbreaker episodes. I'm excited to talk about some of the philosophical or the, I guess, Buddha concepts that come up in that show during some of the scenes. And so we're really about just really bringing the audience together in a community where everybody can thrive and share ideas. The last thing that I'll mention, because I have a lot of stuff that goes on, if you're looking to protect your wealth and life, the cash value life insurance may be right for you. And so I am working to have my own open house if you want to learn more about joining our life insurance team. And again, one of the biggest things that I'm focused on is only focusing on a few small things like Age of Radio, Blockheads, and Q Financial, which is the life insurance piece of the business and investing and things of that nature. And then growing those things by hiring more people on. That's why I have Trey helping manage the community management on Discord. That's why I have my executive team now that I'm building, which is Jalissa is my executive assistant. And then we also have part of the Dustin and Josh helping us create the website. We have Priscilla and Ruthie helping with accounts payable. And by helping, I mean being part of the team, being, I guess, contracted and or however you look at it, employed by us or team members. And so one of my biggest things this year is really focusing on growing, like leveraging labor to get us to the next level and starting to put in all of these pieces so that we can grow. So I'm really excited about that. And we'll talk more about the other things that I'm excited about as it comes to marketing. Also too, if you follow me on Instagram, this will be the last thing, and then we'll move on from me telling you to go do stuff. Sign up for my dope updates. It's a channel inside of Instagram. I'm working to put some more content in there, more private stuff, more insight into the things that I'm doing, the things that I hope to start doing a better job teaching and training through this podcast, as I explain more of the journey stuff that I'm doing and the things that I'm trying to do. And so, yeah, so those are all the updates that I have. So I'm really, really excited. I have one other update, but we're going to leave that for a little bit. And then we'll talk about kind of why I'm going down this marketing tonight. All right, so the first thing that I want to talk about is going to be NVIDIA. So NVIDIA skyrocketed NVIDIA corporations had a $430 billion sell-off over the last, I want to say 13 sessions. I might be wrong on that amount of sessions. Might have been 3 sessions. So this is a Bloomberg article. NVIDIA's 13% stock rout has traders scouring charts for support. Short-term support seen at $115, but more significant is probably getting it back down to $100. But essentially, NVIDIA Corp's had 3-day $430 billion sell-off. I might have said 3-day, and I don't know why I thought 13-day. NVIDIA Corp's 3-day $430 billion sell-off has traders turning to technical analysis for clues on where the bottom may be. This is from an article in Bloomberg's from Jaron Wittenstein and Ryan Vlastelica. The link will be in the episode description. The stock has fallen 13% since briefly overtaking Microsoft Corporation. Last week, the world's most, and this happened last week, it pushed NVIDIA shares into a technical correction when a stock drops 10% or more from a recent peak And this has fallen from the first time since, this is the first fall that they've had since the first time since April. So this is an abrupt reversal and has included some telltale signs of capitulation, according to Buff Dormeyer, who's a chief technical analysis at Kingsview Partners. And so a quote that he has here: the fact that this is happening following all this good news, the split becoming the largest company, is a concern, he said, referring to a 10-for-1 stock split that was announced last month. Dormeyer sees short-term support around the $115 level, with the next significant level at $100. So based off of the charting, for the most part, if you do charting, a lot of people use Fibonacci retracement. So the $115 area for NVIDIA shares is near a key Fibonacci retracement level. It's a tool used by technical analysis to identify support or resistance line for stocks and other assets. So essentially, you're looking for these resistant lines so that when you see that it's falls, you can find the bottom so that you can buy in and then ride it up till you get a height, like a high on the Fibonacci, where you can realize, okay, I probably need to sell because it's probably going to go down. So that's a traditional way in which technical analysis utilize the ability to find when to buy and sell a stock to make profit in between. So this, again, isn't usually I utilize technical analysis when I am trying to decide on what stocks to kind of pick, but I also do it for more of a long-term position. I've never purchased NVIDIA. I personally think that it's a great stock to own in a portfolio. The problem that we're seeing is that last week when this happened, I think it was last week when it happened, I made a post or I made a comment on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, is that eventually this can't go on. Like the NVIDIA's valuation, and I think NVIDIA is part of the S&P 500. I think it's either part of the S&P 500 or the DJIA. Let me see here real quick. Let's see. Okay, so it's not currently part of the Dow Jones. It's probably just part of the S&P. Let's see here. Yeah, so NVIDIA is part of the S&P 500, and the biggest problem is that NVIDIA has really boosted and is supporting the S&P 500. And so the problem is that if this falls the way that it's falling, it's not going to, in my opinion, cause a bunch of the other stocks to fall. What it's going to happen is make a realization that the S&P 500, the grouping of stocks or the index of stocks that we utilize to kind of measure how strong the economy is, isn't really as strong as we are thinking it is, right? So most of the time, how we perceive and the emotions that we have towards what's happening in the economy and how we feel about money, how we feel about our life, how we feel about the stock is usually the thing that drives it. The problem is that a lot of people use the indicator like the S&P 500 as a total for the economy, and the S&P 500 has been inflating it to some extent, making it seem like it's doing well, when in reality, most of the stocks in it are not as doing well. But because NVIDIA is doing so well, we can see that, okay, this S&P is doing fine, we're fine. So what's going to happen, or what some people think is going to happen, and this was an article in Barron's, which is another publication that I read. I do a lot of reading. or try to do a lot of reading, a lot of skimming, I guess. And then when I find something good, I read it. But if Nvidia continues to move downward, like it has been, like it's had a $430 billion sell-off, is that it's going to open up the rest of the economy or the rest of the market to be like, okay, the S&P 500 is not doing as well as we thought it was, which is going to trigger more people selling off their stocks. And when that happens, it's going to continue to tank. And then that's what will lead us into possibly I guess a bearish economy or a bearish stock market. And so that's one of the things that I was kind of trying to educate people on. That's why having a diversified portfolio, but not over diversified portfolio, and making sure that you're managing it is the best way to kind of, I guess, minimize some of these things as they happen, because eventually we are going into a position, or we are going to go into a position where we are going to be in a bearish economy, and eventually we will fall into where we have more of a recession. And then that recession, I don't know, I don't think the recession is going to be super long. I don't think it's going to turn into a depression, but I do think that we're eventually going to have to come to the fact that the GDP growth is going to slow down. We're going to meet the requirements to say that we're in a recession. We are going to be in a recession. And in my guess, that's going to be probably somewhere in 2025, maybe into 2026. Although a lot of people believe that cryptocurrency is going to go very, very bullish in 2025. I am not 100% sure on that. I think that we're going to see some pickup in crypto in the latter half of the year when a lot of the marketplace catches up to the fact that Bitcoin did its halving. And if history kind of replicates itself, that will come so many months roughly after Bitcoin did its halving. If it did its halving in April, I think it was April, May, June, July, August, September. We'll probably have somewhere in October, have a good end of the year, and then it'll probably go down again. Might come back up in January for the January effect, maybe going to February. And then that's when we're going to see things kind of settle in, because we'll have the new president. If you want to know my personal opinion on the president, go and follow me on X, and you will find out what I have been kind of talking to people about, because politics, as you may know, is something that I strive to focus on in the future, or probably start focusing on right now, and prepping to create my brand for that for the future. And if Trump comes into office, I believe that we're going to see some kind of big push in the market economy. I think people will find that as a good sign from, say, maybe a monetary policy or from an economic perspective. And I think that if Biden ends up staying in the presidency, we will have it kind of fall off. And I don't know, depending on the people that he has surrounded him, maybe they can change the sentiment around it. Maybe they can push a good message to people to get them emotionally charged about continuing to invest. And maybe we won't slip into what I think would be a recession. But again, all cycles will cycle out, and we will go into a bearish cycle for a period of time. And my guess is we will hit a recession. So I guess keep listening for more, and I will keep giving you the information as I see it and what I think is going to happen. And we will be right back after these messages.
Em busca de novo hit para animar seu dia? Então clique no banner e ouça a playlist com as melhores músicas. Oferecimento nova Fiat Titano. A nova picape da Fiat faz bonito nos terrenos mais desafiadores. Performance com motor turbo diesel 4x4 e câmera 360 graus off-road, que ajudam você a ultrapassar qualquer obstáculo. Sem falar que ela tem a maior caçamba da categoria. Tá esperando o que para conhecer? Nova Fiat Titano. Chegou a sua vez de fazer história. Paz no Trânsito começa por você.
All right, I'm putting in a new segment into this. We won't go to a commercial break, I guess, after this new segment. But I wanted to do a new segment because one of the things that I'm starting to find, I did a lot of research over these last 2 weekends, while also studying for my Series 65 to move Q Financial into the next phase of its business, and to start growing a lot more business. And so as I was studying for the Series 65, I did a lot of thinking about my longtime dream of becoming a PhD, preferably in a field that I enjoy. And the 3 fields that I really, really enjoy, I don't mind doing taxes. I'm not really super big into accounting, and I'm okay admitting that. I'm good at accounting. I have a bachelor's in accounting. I did very well in it. I love doing bookkeeping. I love running a bookkeeping business, but I really enjoy talking to people about investing in finance, and how to run their business from a chief finance finance officer perspective or managing the finances of a business. Okay. The other thing that I really, really love is marketing. That's what my MBA specialization is in marketing. And I enjoy marketing. I love brand building. And one of the things that I really do enjoy after I kind of didn't make it about business and really made it about being fun and sharing my things about business is social media. So I don't spend I spend a lot of time on social media from the perspective of actually trying to get to know people in social media and trying to become friends with them. Like I have a friend that's the North Switch that she lives in Germany. And I follow her. We had a conversation the other night. I gave her some advice on website design because she asked, I didn't go there and was like, hey, you need to do this with your website. I was just talking with her. And then it came up about, her Shopify store, I think it was. And then in different ways that you could build out the website rather than having to use Shopify's landing page builder, which I haven't had a lot. I guess we're kind of using that right now for refined integrity, but I found that the better way to do it is to build out the store and then integrate the stuff that you can with Shopify and integrate. Anyway, and so we ended up talking about that. And I have a gentleman that I talk to on Threads a lot about podcasting. I have most of my friends that are social media influencers like Echo, Jenna, and Echo and Jenna are like the ones that I talk to the most on X. I communicate with them solely through social media. I have people that follow me in my channel, on my dope channels on Instagram that I communicate with. I communicate with Trey, who's our community manager. I communicate with tons of the podcasters on social media. That's where I find podcasts to bring onto the network, and befriend and so forth. And once I changed my attitude about social media, I have been very, very adamant about using it to build relationships and not utilizing it just to give or to take and take and take. Utilize it to give and give and give, and people will organically find the stuff that you are selling and that you are doing, and they will migrate over to it as long as the processes and those things are in place for them to find it. And that's being managed. And that's one of the things that I am trying to do better and get organized for the Age of Jeremy as a brand, and as Q Financial as a brand, and do better as Age of Radio as a brand, and monitoring a lot of those metrics. And so marketing is something that I just genuinely enjoy. I love the strategy of it. I love the sales of it. I love the advertising of it. I love pushing to people, creating communications, building the community, the branding of it. And it made me think that it just made me think that, if I had the energy and the time to do a PhD in finance, marketing, and music, oh my God, that would be the dream come true for me. But unfortunately, you have to do full time for these. Maybe one day that will be something that I can do. But in the meantime, I can definitely do my part in each of those areas of pushing content out to people, learning more about those industries, sharing those industries, and learning to be a thought leader in those industries. And then maybe, one day I will get a, honorary PhD, or I'll have the ability to convince someone to let me be a PhD candidate, apply for it, and let me do part-time while I work, or whatever the case is. All the experience that I have is super beneficial. So becoming a thought leader in that space is going to be very, very important for me. And so that being said, one of the things that I love doing, I love learning about what's going on with social media. And one of the things that I think would be beneficial is if I shared some of the cool new things that I find on social media during in a portion of this podcast episode. And so the first one I'm going to talk about, and I might have mentioned it, is Threads is a fantastic, fun place to be. And one of my most favorite things about Threads is that if you download the desktop app of Threads, okay, you can download it as a desktop. I have it up right in front of me. I have my thread, okay, and then I also actually can pin tags, okay, so I can hit a pin. You can't see it. On the desktop app, there is a little pin, like you would put a pin in the wall or a pin in a board or whatever, with the little plasticky thing on the back. It looks like a pin. And so if you click on that, it'll bring up this box and it says search for keywords and profiles. And so let's say I want to search, like right now I have life insurance and IUL, but I'm going to throw up podcasting. Okay. So I'm going to throw up podcasting. It's going to come up and it's going to show me podcasting microphones, podcasting journey, podcasting business school. And it's going to start going into to people that have podcasting in their name or that are podcasters, I guess. Okay. And so if I just hit podcasting, when I click that, it's going to create a new feed that utilizes the tag podcasting. And so right now, if I'm on the desktop, I have my For You thread, I have my life insurance thread, I have my IUL thread, and I have my podcasting thread. And so what that allows me to do is, if I am keeping it on a auto update rotation, I can come on here throughout the day while I'm sitting at my desk, and I can go and talk in those areas that are meaningful to me. Like this person here, it's the art of hobbiness, podcast threads. Anyone else feel like recording is the best part of podcasting? We love recording mostly because it's an excuse to hang out with each other. I'm going to go to them. I'm going to heart that because I agree with that. And my favorite part about podcasting is obviously the recording and sharing the content. I personally also do like audio engineering. However, I don't have the time to do it. So it becomes like this thing where like, okay, this is something that I like doing, that I enjoy doing, but I don't have the time to do it. And I need to find someone else to do it. But then I don't think they're going to do as good a job as me. And that's something that I have to let go, or they charge a lot and it's going to cost me a ridiculous amount of money to do it. But I'm going to come on here and I'm going to reply to them. And I'm going to be like, the art of hobbiness, recording is recording. I'm just going to type it and I'll read it. Recording is or I guess I'll read it while I type it. Recording is absolutely the best part of podcasting, or knowing that you shared something cool with your listeners. Okay. And so this is really good for a couple of reasons. One, for me personally, I'm always trying to find new podcasts to see if they want to be a part of the podcast network, right? Before I used to just take anybody can come and apply, but me going out there, I'm going to try to find pieces for our network that we're kind of missing. And so one of those ones that we are personally missing are females that are podcast hosts. So we used to have a bunch of them. Unfortunately, podcasting is one of those things where you're hot for a while and then you're not, and then you'll come back and you're hot, but then people don't tell me that they're back and I don't know that they're back, and I need to do a better job at that so that I can push their stuff out there. But this the art of hobbiness, that's something that, hey, helping millennial women find more me time through hobbies of creativity. That sounds like something that I would love to reach out to them about and talk to them about, or have them find us organically. And the way that you find people organically is going out and communicating with these things in these threads. And so the thing is that while I am doing it for the things that I enjoy, and there is a benefit that comes to the business, even if I wasn't doing the business, social media is something that we can utilize to build strong relationships with people that we've never met before. Especially if you start meeting people in Arizona, like a lot of the people on threads, they're like grouping you into like Arizona, I guess maybe from the algorithm, I don't know. And so I've been talking to a lot of people that actually live in Arizona, and then that will allow me to be like, hey, do you want to come play pool with us? Because if you, listen to the ramblings that I do, or the lo-fi episodes, really focusing on gaming, and pool is one of those games, and been trying to find a pool spot and a dart spot, and I finally found one and I'm really excited about it. So I'm going to be taking everybody that I know there to play pool and or darts, because playing games is the best thing in the world, in my opinion, after making music. It's probably making music and recording stuff, and then games. That's literally it, right? And so meeting these cool people here allows you to create a large network. And one of the things that I consistently talk about is that you have to have a wide network, and then you have to have the ability to look at the people that are in that network and find out the people that you can be more vulnerable with, that you can bring deeper into your inner circle, and so forth. And I think that the problem, and I think all of that's going to sound great to everybody. Then there's going to be people out there that say that, oh, well, that's just you using people. It's not, though. We all give and take. And so the thing is if you're doing it with the intention to always be taking from people, then yes. But if you're doing it with the intention to meet new people, learn new things, have a really good support system, and be a good support system for people, then you can build really strong relationships. I am thinking, as I'm getting older and learning about the things that make me happy, and being around more people and talking to more people and being with people making me happy, and how happy people make me, is that I think that it's a lie that you should only have a few amount of friends. I think that you should have a few amount of friends that are in that inner circle, but you should always be nurturing and building strong relationships with other people in different layers of that circle. And I feel that women do this much better, and women want this a lot more than a lot of the people that are, say, men, or I don't want to use the word masculine, but or women that are driven in the way that men try to be driven on social media, if that makes sense. And so one of the best books I've ever bought, and I mentioned this, is Frientimacy, and it is a book that's for women to help them build strong support networks of other women and have good friendships. But the thing is, anybody can do that because it's literally just a book about making friends, having good friends, building strong relationships with friends, and doing cool friend shit. And that's what we should be doing. And I personally think that that is the number one thing and key to removing loneliness and in the world is community and people. And it's not only just about having those really close people, but it's having those really close people that when, God forbid, one of them die, one of them moves away, one of them you have a falling out with, that you are able to have a support system that you can move people in to closer vulnerability spots inside of that circle. And when we do that, not only do we live longer, not only do we have more fun, I feel and think, and I'm starting to say that I know, is that we can help and cure this mental health of this loneliness. Because having relationships and being with people and community is a thing that can change all of it. So I encourage you to jump on Threads, follow me on Threads. I'm a huge supporter of Threads. I'm also a huge supporter of Meta. Do I think that Meta and Microsoft might be Skynet in the future? Absolutely. But as of right now, I've always been a big fan of Instagram more than Facebook, and I love Threads, and I just think that they did such a great job on this desktop app that I think that you should check it out, get it, and then start building fun relationships on there. And I guess I wasn't honest with you. I didn't know I was going to talk that much about Threads. So go get Threads while this ad plays, and then we will talk about the last thing that I want to talk about. All right, I promise no more ads until the end of the episode. Unless it's just me saying for you to go and do something. Okay, so here's one last ad. No, I'm just kidding. It kind of is an advertisement. It's for a HubSpot article. Not a HubSpot article, a Hootsuite article. I love Hootsuite. Hootsuite is super overpriced. When I have much more, when I have someone that can manage all of our social media posts, hands down, GitHub's Hootsuite. Hootsuite also has fantastic blogging available to anybody, and you can get a lot of great information from their blog. And so one of the biggest things that I'm really focused on, I'm focused on a lot of things, but one of the things that I've pivoted on is being more focused on metrics as it relates to marketing and social media. So not just social media or marketing as it relates to social media, but marketing and then also social media. We have so much data all over the place that none of it's confined in a spot that makes it easier for us to see it in a visualizer like Looker Studio by Google or Power BI by Microsoft or by Tableau. And so one of the biggest things that I've been thinking of is we can't get a good sense of what's happening with our businesses across our businesses. So if I was, say, a board of directors for a company and the board of directors the company owned all these businesses, and I wanted to report on some big overall metrics, it'd be very difficult for me to go in and look at it and then present that to the board to help make the decisions. Or as an operator of the business or a marketer or the head of marketing or the head of the business or what have you, it would be very, very difficult to get a sense of what's happening because the data is all over the place. Now we can do it in small pockets, but it's really important to be able to see it in one good place. And Power BI, Tableau, and Looker Studio, I think, do a pretty good job of that. And so we're working on trying to get that data into one place. What's great is I met this gentleman on a plane once, and he actually was going to school for data science or something along those lines, but he knew about data science. And so I reached out to him to help kind of like review some of the stuff that we're doing. And again, that's the reason why you build relationships with people, so that you have people that can help you if you need help with things. And likewise, you also help them if you can help them with the thing that they need help with. So when I was going through this, I really started looking at all the numbers on my social media and on the Age of Radio social media. And it just made me think that we don't have a clear like messaging in place for a lot of it. And I've been thinking this for a while, and I've been slowly moving that messaging, but I want to get a better idea about what we're doing and with the social media and what the purpose of it is, because sometimes we think that, okay, we just have to post every day. Sometimes we think that we need to post everywhere, and it may not be the case. And so HubSpot or Hootsuite has this amazing article called how to create a social media marketing plan. And essentially it's about doing an audit. And so they have all kinds of tools. I'm going to peruse some of this because they have 9 steps, and I don't think we need to go through all 9 steps. I want to talk about some of the ones that I think that are super, super important. And so the first 2 that are super, super important is step 1 and step 2. So step 1 is choose goals that align to the business objectives. So it says here in this article that the first steps to creating a winning social media strategy is to establish clear objectives and goals. Without goals, you have no way to measure success and your return on investment. And this is kind of normal that we would say, oh yeah, we need to start with goals. But how many of us actually sit down and say, what are the goals for this specific social media plan that I have for this brand? What is the plan that I have for this brand? What is the plan that I have for this brand? And as entrepreneurs and influencers and content creators, we have to have that under control. And so they have some cool templates here on how to create SMART goals, which if you're not familiar with SMART goals, it's being specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. And they have this cool little template that you can get that helps you kind of look at your business goals, how those goals are, what are those goals and how they relate to the business goal on social media, and then what are the metrics that we're going to track. Okay, so I think that if everybody starts at this one place, they will be in a much better place with the knowing what type of content to put on social media. Because the reason why it kind of struck me so much is because while I am never going to niche, I can never say that word, on my own Age of Jeremy social media, it still has to have a plan. Like, I can't just be like, oh, I'm going to post this one day and post this one day. Like, there has to be a collective amount of information and content that's going out there where it's just not random shit. Now, there can be some randomness in it. Like, I love talking about my dogs. I love showing social media posts about my dogs. But on the content that I present to the public as it relates to what I'm talking about, I want that to be more marketing focused, more finance focused, more insurance focused, and more podcasty focus, because those are the things that are the main drivers of what I'm trying to accomplish. And so in this template, you can have your business goals. So for example, in the Hootsuite blog, it says our business goals: help potential customers find us. Okay. How do you do that? Through awareness. Okay, what are the metrics? Reach, impressions, follower growth, shares, etc. What do I want to use social media for? Convenience, people to choose us. That's going to take engagement, comments, likes, mentions, etc. Eventually, I want to sell the product. That's the conversions. Okay, and so what is it that you're going to mainly focus on? And then you need to look at that and then find the metrics that support that. Because like, if it's the goal to, talk about like podcasting, to talk about insurance, like there are pieces of the content that need to be awareness, where you're going to look at the reach, the impressions, the followers, growth, and shares. And then there's pieces of it where you're going to actually sell the product. There's going to be places on there like a link tree where you're going to see what the conversions are, how you drive people to that link tree, which they should probably they come more organically than we think that they come from call to actions in most cases. In certain cases, when there's a lot of trust built with the person that's selling it, it's very easy to do call to actions and to get people to respond. But unless you have that really strong trust, it's more about putting that content out there, them kind of finding it, them searching you, then them going through, and then somehow getting them into your CRM or into your email campaign. Okay. And so it's really important that you know how you're hitting all of these areas, in which way you're hitting them, what the goals are for them, and what the metrics are. Okay. So here's another example. Social media goals should align with your overall marketing strategies. So I think this is just an example, but so business objective, maybe it's to grow the brand. Okay. Social media goal. What's the social media goal to growing the brand? Well, I need to grow the brand. I need to make awareness. What are the metrics that we can focus on for that? Let's focus on increasing our followers, and let's focus on increasing our shares. Okay. Once I know that, then I'll know what type of things do I need to be posting that are going to increase the followers and that are going to increase the shares. Another example, drive leads and sales. That's going to be based off of conversions. That's the social media goal. These metrics demonstrate the effectiveness of your social engagement, website clicks, email signups, etc. People clicking on the link tree, when they're in the link tree, getting them over to a newsletter. And I will say this because we don't hear enough. The most important thing that you can be doing is getting people's emails and phone numbers. Find every gall darn way to get emails and phone numbers, and you will be successful in whatever it is that you're doing. And then following up with those and creating engagement and follow up and reaching out to them and so forth. But the point is that it starts with those emails and phone numbers. Okay, so maybe you want to improve customer attention. That social media goal, consumer. These metrics reflect how active customers think and feel about your brand. That could be testimonials, social media sentiment, average response time for social customer service support. There's all kinds of things that you can do, but you only do that if you sit down and say, this is my business objective, and this is what we're going to do to meet it. And sometimes those business objectives fail. Like maybe for the first year of your business or the rest of this year, you're just going to focus on awareness. Or maybe when you're thinking that there's a slump in the conversions, you kick back to awareness to build a lot of awareness, and then you start pushing in a little bit of the conversion stuff again to get them to do the call to actions or to get them to go to your profile link, or maybe that you are turning customers into advocates, and that's your main goal. I'm just going to focus on engagement the rest of the year. I just want to build engagement, get them really engaged so we can build some really strong trust, and then I can, go to them and try to drive leads from that and focus on those conversions. So again, and you could be doing all of it at the same time. It all just depends on what it is, how your business is, and how your business cycles work. The other one that I wanted to mention here was step 2, learn everything you can about your audience. Okay. This is something that I have done horribly with Age of Radio that we are going to fix. And I'm going to fix that through a lot of things. But essentially, we want to get a better job at learn everything you can about your audience. So the things that they list here, it's going to be like age, location, average income, typical job title or industry, and interest. And one of the best ways to get this information from people is to ask them. And so the best way to ask them is through surveys, doing giveaways for surveys, going out and talking to them. What's a great place to talk to people? On your social media. So if you have a brand like I have Age of Radioverse on Instagram and on Threads, going in there, commenting on them, finding out what those people like, you can get a lot of information from that, but it takes time, energy, and dedicated people to going in there and creating a personality with that brand in the social media context. And so that's where it gets really, really hard, because it's like, okay, so I have my brand, we have our business brand, we have to create personalities for both of them. And so the problem is that how often do you go and interact with the brand that's not your personal brand? And are you able to, I guess, find someone or outsource that, not outsource it to like a third-party firm, but hire someone to focus on that and build that personality? Because the way in which that personality goes out and engages and creates conversations with people can really drive in people not only following you, but people engaging in your content in some way, and which will eventually lead to conversions and sales. They have a really cool guide to creating an audience buyer persona. And so audience buyer personas are really cool concept, because it gives you an idea of like, so you might have people that are say 15 to 30, and then there's people 35 to 40 that follow you. But those people that are say 35 to 45 or 35 to 50 or whatever, they might have different interests. They might have different income than the other people. And so what a persona does is allow you to create different personas that you go after, which allows you to build audiences in marketing. And so like, for example, with this one, what's the demographic? What's the preferred social network, right? So, which I'm going to talk about in a minute after this, but what's the preferred social network? What are the brand affinities? What's the budget? What's the goals, aspirations, pain points, and how do you help? And you can create different personas of these, like I said, and then you can use that to create different audiences and then test marketing or advertisements to those audiences. And so one of the things that we end up running into trouble with is we believe that we need to be everywhere, and we do need to be ubiquitous as much as possible. But that doesn't mean that at the start of it, that ubiquitousness needs to be everywhere. It could be only in like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 things. Like one of the things that I ran into was I was trying to do Triller, right out the gate when I started doing more of my videos, but I don't really have an audience on Triller that I'm aware of as of right now. If that changes, then I will push my stuff there. But I do know that Threads works really, really well. A lot of podcasters use Threads and X. Not a lot of them use for their pushing out of like clips and stuff. They'll use TikTok and Instagram. And so it makes sense to be on those specific platforms. But then if we think about like a Jeremy as a brand, it makes more sense for him to be on LinkedIn trying to become a thought leader on things. So, which may not make sense for Age of Radio unless Age of Radio can start selling businesses and become a thought leader for marketing. And then it makes sense for Age of Radio to start pushing more on LinkedIn. And so you have to realize that just because you are going out there does not mean that your audience exists or the people are going to follow you on there. For example, being honest, right as of right now, this could 100% change and it could completely shatter everything that I'm saying right now if a few of them hit. But for instance, we're pushing out all the Coach JV stuff on LinkedIn. For some reason, that's not getting the same follower count that we would have otherwise been. So which means two things. One, the audience isn't there that wants to follow him, or two, it's not the right content. If the content needs to change and then the audience is there, then they'll start following. Or maybe people don't know he's on there because it's not getting enough reach because the content's in the different type of format. But the point is that you need to focus on being you need to be focused on pushing the social content where it needs to be pushed. So one of the places that we're having success with the podcast is on YouTube. Because why? Because tons of people are on YouTube. People that listen to podcasts, they're also on YouTube. It might be easier for them to listen on YouTube than going to a podcast app. So that makes more sense for us to be posting stuff on YouTube because we know that our audience is there. And if you don't know where your audience is at, I did this in Merlin. We sent out a survey and we asked them what are the social media platforms that they use. And one of them came back very, very low that I was going to try to go out on. And so we have not started pushing stuff out there because it didn't make sense to reallocate those resources to there because our audience wasn't there. Okay, so some of these other ones, I'm not going to deep dive into them, but step 3 is get to know your competition. Do a social media audit. This one I actually super highly recommend. This is one of the things that I've been deep diving in with both Age of Radio and Age of Jeremy. So if you're already using social media, what's working and what's not? Like I found some really cool posts that actually hit. I'm going to try to replicate that by doing posts that are similar to that. For instance, when either tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to do a post on NVIDIA about what I talked about right now on this podcast about the NVIDIA article, but I'm going to do it probably tomorrow. And it's going to be a green screen background. I'm going to talk about NVIDIA. It's hot in the news right now. It should pump on social media the way that the other one did. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But you need to find out what's working and what's not. Then you need to go and find out who are the people that are engaging with you. Because if certain groups of people are engaging with you, then you need to start pushing those other groups of people or pushing to those same types of individuals or communicating and outreach to those types of individuals so that they can start engaging with you also. What are your most valuable partnerships? Currently, you will find that there are people that maybe you don't actually have a like word for word partnership with them or a contract partnership, but you have partnerships of people that are actually sharing your stuff and liking your stuff. And what works really, really great is if you reach out to them and then work to help each other grow. That was something that we did very on in the beginning of 3T Warrior Academy. You would join different groups and you guys would repost stuff, post stuff about each other, and it would really help each other grow. I don't know if that is still currently popular on Instagram. I have to check that out because I just remember that right now. But that might be something that works. And I think that's one of the things that if you have valuable partnerships with that, you guys should do things like that together to help grow your guys' presence. Which networks does your target audience use? We already covered that. What does your social media presence compare to the competition? So that's one that I do all of the time with both Merlin and with Age of Radio. I am constantly looking at our competition and seeing how they're posting stuff, how often they're posting stuff, what they're doing in their realm of existence in regards to stuff, and then working to see, okay, does this make sense for our audience if we do something similar to this? Does it make sense if we do this exactly like this? And so that's really important to be doing because you can start finding things that are working that your competitors are doing, and then you can just replicate some of those things that are working. So once you collect that information on this Hootsuite, again, we're not sponsored buy Hootsuite because they're too expensive, or they're not too expensive. They're more money than I want to pay right now if I don't have someone constantly managing this. Hootsuite has created an easy to follow social media audit guide and template. So if you go to this Hootsuite article that's listed in the episode description, you can click on that. You can get that template. I've already downloaded that template and started working on it in the past, and I'm just going to refresh that now that I have some more focus, some more like laser focus or funneling focus on the areas that we're trying to improve in our businesses. Your audit should give you a clear picture of what purpose each of your social accounts serve. So if the purpose of an account isn't clear, think about whether it's worth keeping. That's something that might be hard for people, especially if you want to post to everywhere. And you might still want to post to everywhere. It just depends on what your goals are. But this is one of the reasons why I stopped on Triller. I cut back on, say, Snapchat. For me personally, maybe it makes sense for Age of Radio to be on those places. Maybe I can do a little bit less of that. I'm testing stuff out on Lemon 8. I don't personally think my audience is on Lemon 8, but I'm enjoying doing diary articles on it and pushing people to it. So we'll see how that works and see if anything happens with it. And if it doesn't, then as we do this audit on a regular basis, we can decide if we are going to be moving away from some of those platforms. If your audience isn't there, it's maybe not worth keeping that platform, but it's also worth trying a bunch of platforms because you might hit something really, really big. And that's why it's important to always try platforms and try it for a good period of time. Maybe try them for 9 months to a year and then make that assessment. Okay. Like I have no idea what I would use Pinterest for, but maybe in the future, there's a reason why I would want to use Pinterest and we will start using it and trying it. We'll try it out for a year and see if it works. Okay. So step 5 is set up accounts and improve profiles. Step 6 is find inspiration. 7 is probably something that I will say is really important. Create a social media content calendar. They have like a template that you can use, I think. No, it's just the best time to post. And then I created a calendar that I am horrible at following and updating and keeping consistent with. So I will tell you, as I say to everybody, the most important thing is consistency, and always be looking at yourself and be like, am I being consistent with this? And then if you push yourself to continue to be consistent, you'll get a little bit better, and then you'll fall off again. You'll get a little bit better, and so forth. So I think that that's really, really important. There's also this thing called the try the 80% rule. So the 80% rule says this: 80% of your posts should inform, educate, or entertain your audience. 20% can directly promote your brand. So, for example, if you are doing say, like, I don't know, 10 posts a week, 2 of them should be about promoting your brand. The other one is the social media content marketing rule of thirds. So 1/3 of your content promotes your business, converts readers, and generates profit. 1/3 of your content share ideas and stories from thought leaders in your industry or like-minded businesses. And 1/3 of your content is personal interactions with your audience. And so one of the ones that we miss a lot just in general is sharing your ideas and stories from thought leaders in your industry. And so if we're talking about Instagram, a great way to do that would be doing through sharing or through stories and then writing content about it, or doing stories and talking or doing a reel and talking over it and saving it. And then rather than posting as a reel, maybe post it as a story. That might do really, really well. So again, one of the things that I'm really trying to do is that piece of it. So 1/3 of my content should be about sharing ideas. And that is something that I'm really trying on LinkedIn, trying on X, trying on Threads, and trying on Instagram. I may or may not try it so much on TikTok. But again, those other places, I think that does really, really good. I guess you could repost that stuff on TikTok. And so I think that the rule of thirds works really, really good. They also have, whatever you decide on, be sure to document your strategy. They have this really cool concept on here, content pillars, of the frequency, when to post ideas in that content pillar. So you have the content pillar 1, you have your content pillar 2, maybe that's branding, promo, sales. Content pillar 3 is entertaining, informative. Content pillar 1 is entertaining and informative. Content pillar 2 is branding, promo, and sales. And content pillar 3 is company culture and values. And so you might want to come up with different post ideas and how frequently you want to do that. And then you just stick with that for each social media platform that you're doing. Again, this gets a lot easier when you have a team that's with you. If it's you by yourself, it may go up and down a lot, but if you can try to stick with something or you can try to do it, then you will start seeing progress. And that's really the key, is the progression. They also have on here real quick. And then, actually, you know what? Actually, I'm going to end with that. Let me do this first. So when we think of step 7, create social media content calendar. Step 8, create compelling content. You always have to be innovating and trying to come up with good content. I'm not going to go into that one. Track performance and make adjustments. And again, that's why those metrics are so important and why I've been constantly thinking about data analytics, is trying to make sure that I can see all of this so that I can put it in a good place. So I can reference it regularly so that I can make assessments and judgments on it. And that's why those metrics and that analytic and those analytics are so important. The other thing that you can do is, if we look at how they believe that you should be pushing out content, one of the cool things that is that Instagram is maybe 3 to 7 times a day. Facebook is 3 to 7 times a week. So that's not every day. Facebook is 1 to 2 times a day. Twitter is 1 to 5 times a day, and LinkedIn is 1 to 5 times a day. So the LinkedIn one sounds complicated. What I have found that works really good with LinkedIn is if you're going to post 5 times a day and you keep to this thirds, you're going to post one idea a day that's probably shared. You're going to post one idea that's going to talk about your business. You're going to take one idea that personal interactions. Okay. But the thing is that a lot of people don't realize this, but, and I got this from watching Lex Fridman, and this is why it's good. Not that Lex Fridman's my competition. I just like Lex. I like Lex Fridman. And so I follow him on LinkedIn. And so, cause he's an artificial intelligence, professor, and a podcast host. Okay. So point is that if you look at his stuff, he talks a lot on it. He talks like he's using it like Twitter. And so LinkedIn, you can easily get to 1 to 5 posts on and create yourself as a thought leader in the area if you're posting good stuff and you're doing it on that 1 to 5 times basis. It doesn't have to be an image post. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's all about going on there and talking on LinkedIn in a professional business way about the stuff that you are trying to create yourself as a thought leader on 1 to 5 times a day, where on X, and then you can just talk about essentially whatever the fuck you want to talk about. I mean, you would probably keep it in line with this thirds idea, but a lot of that stuff on Twitter, it can be not the same way in which you would post that stuff on LinkedIn. And I'm not talking about that from a context of like, you are a professional and you shouldn't be talking about that. I'm just talking about like the audience on there, and the application itself isn't utilized for that. So one of the things that LinkedIn's really trying to do is push content that is about the thought leadership that you are bringing to the table. And the way that you do that is to create content and ideas and thoughts like you do on Twitter, but about those things that you want to be a thought leader in. And so for me, again, finance, marketing, podcasting, and eventually musicology and ethnomusicology when I move into that realm. But if I keep it in those 4 things specifically, then that's what I'm going to be recognized as. And that's the brand that I want to portray to the world. Now, do I think that other people will get much further and faster if they niche down? Hands down, 100%. Okay. But because I'm an entrepreneur, those are the things that I do business in. And those are the things that I'm a thought leader in. And those are the things that I want to be known as a thought leader in at least from the space, and then also gaming and eventually. So these things are going to change over time. And when you move into a different space, you'll talk more about that stuff in the space in which you're trying to become that thought leader in. But if you come down and say, okay, I want to be known as the finance guy, the finance thought leader, the marketing thought leader, the content creator, podcast thought leader, and that's it. And then as I move into those other realms, as I get my degrees in musicology or whatever, then I'll start posting about those stuffs and sharing my ideas, and over time become, being thought of as a thought leader. The one thing that I will say that's really cool about Hootsuite is their Hootsuite system works really, really good. It's just expensive. That's just my only problem with it. I mean, you can probably get it I could probably get one person. Let me see what the price is. I think it's like $100 a month for like one seat. Let me see. Yeah, it's freaking $100 a month for one seat. $100 a month for one seat. You get unlimited posting schedule, best time to post recommendations, 10 social accounts, 1 inbox, custom analytics and reports, competitive. Actually, it does have the custom analytics and reports. I don't think that when I had it before, I don't think that was part of the original, the main one. You can also get it for free, I guess, but you get really limited access. Or is it just the trial for free? I guess just the trial's for free. I lied. It's $99 a month. That is $1,200 a year. But it's really worth it if it's really what you're going. Like I said, as soon as I have someone that can be dedicated to it, hands down. What will happen is I'll buy it for $100 a month and use it like once, and then be like, oh shit, I got to post stuff. I'll be out, just start posting stuff randomly, never look at it again, and then I'll be out $1,200. So make sure that you have a plan in place to use it if you're going to buy it. So with that being said, I think that this is a great place to start. It's a great place to build out a strategy to audit your account. Some really great content in here. I love Hootsuite's blogs. They do such a great job, such an inspiration, in my opinion, for other brands on how they should be doing blogs, on how they should be building content. Because hands down, like the thing about how these things work is like, I'm so bought into Hootsuite because of the content that they provided me that as soon as I am able to and ready to buy the thing, that's who I'm going to go with. They have won me over with that already. And so I think that that's one of the great things about content is if you can do something beautiful, the content that Hootsuite puts out on here is amazing. Hootsuite and HubSpot do fantastic with their branding and on their blog posts and the content that they help you with. And if you can really focus on that with your content and help people, then people will come to you and they'll think of you as a thought leader and they will buy your products over time. Again, that's why it's always about being consistent, always trying to get better. Even if you're not consistent, getting back up, keep pushing it, coming up with ideas, building a strategy for your social media, auditing your social media, and keeping it moving forward. And with that being said, as I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we will talk with you next time. Bye.
You were born in your dying, honey, I'm already crying for you.
Thank you so much for listening to The Age of Jeremy. If you liked this podcast, make sure that you like and subscribe to it in your podcatcher. And if your podcatcher allows you to, make sure that you share it. Our opening song was Gaslight Anthem's Positive Charge. Our closing song is Trevor Hall's Gardens. I use Neumann microphones. I record into my Zoom L8. I record to my Steinberg's Cubase, and I use Waves plugins. And one last time, be thankful, grateful, and kind. We'll talk with you next time. Bye.
Bloom the whole